All right, so let's talk about crawling right now as Shane Steichen's installing his offense. Well, barely installing his offense, more so than just running drills. And also Jonathan Gannon doing the same thing defensively speaking. What have you heard about those two and their schemes coming into play here?
Well, Jonathan Gannon's scheme is going to look a lot like Minnesota's scheme. We know that because the Mike Zimmer influence in him is strong. He does come from Indianapolis, which Matt Eberflus, his defense is more of a straight cover two. When you heard Jonathan Gannon do his press conference, though, to me what stood out was he seemed to suggest, without giving anything away, that from an X's and O's and from a schematic standpoint, he's going to do a lot of what Minnesota does, or at least with his personnel. Obviously, the Eagles don't have like the caliber of linebacker that Minnesota has, but he's going to try to give those kind of disguise looks, a lot of twisting and stunting up front, Mark, which is something that Jim Schwartz did not do a whole lot of. A lot of disguise pre-snap coverage, or movement that Jim Schwartz did not do a lot of. So you're going to see a lot of that. But he did say with Matt Eberflus, with the Colts defense, he said that Matt taught me what I want my defense to look like on tape, meaning like the mentality. And that Colts defense plays like a lunch pail defense. They're fast to the ball. They're tough. They're aggressive. That's what he wants this defense to be built into. Schematically like Minnesota, attitudinally, if that's a word, or personality-wise, like Indianapolis. And so that's what he's trying to do. And, of course, Steichen and Nick Sirianni are working on installing what's going to look more like a pure West Coast offense. But the big thing with them, Mark, and I think there's some misconceptions based on some press conferences this week, is that what they're going to do is mix and match wide receivers and have them all cross-trained. So Jalen Reagor says, I'm going to see a lot more time in the slot. And it felt like the people reacted as if, oh, my God, he's now a slot receiver. I thought the whole thing about him was, well, we didn't want Justin Jefferson because we thought he was only a slot receiver. But That is not the case. He is not only going to be he's not Nelson Aguilar, a guy who clearly struggled on the outside, was lost in his own head, and had to have his career revived by only being a slot receiver. He and Devontae Smith and Travis Fulgham are going to, as I understand it, move around the field and be featured in different ways, in different packages, against certain defensive looks that will be different as well.
Now, to get back to the defense for a second here, Alex Singleton said the other day that he feels like he's a perfect fit for Jonathan Gannon's scheme. What do you think he does well that will, this scheme will benefit him even further?
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with him.
Okay.
I just because if we're looking at what Minnesota does, I'm not sure that's, Singleton is an ideal strong side. I'm not sure he's an ideal middle. He's a good sideline to sign, nose for the football type of player, but he's not a great coverage linebacker. And when you play a lot of that zone, that two deep zone that Minnesota plays, you need guys like Eric Wilson who are a little more rangy, right? And that's why he was brought in and also attacks the quarterback pretty well. Now, Alex, I think, has a nose for getting to Jim did use him as a blitzer, but he's also brought in Ryan Kerrigan here, not Jim, but the Eagles,
right?
Who's a lot better at getting to the quarterback than pretty much anybody else on the team. So I'm not exactly 100% sure where Singleton is going to fit. I do think he's the type of guy, though, that has been adaptable and works hard and is smart. So I imagine he's going to get his opportunity to show where he fits. Might be weak side, might be middle. We'll just have to kind of see how that – we have to see what Kerrigan does in this defense and what Eric Wilson is in this defense almost to figure out what Alex is going to do. But he's certainly still one of their more talented linebackers.